Welcome to the WTIM Morning Show. I'm your host, Avery Cooper. Your stream co-sponsored by the Landmark of Taylorville, where you always do better with Landmark, and People's Bank and Trust, where they put people first. I'm here on the phone with Social Security Administration Public Affairs Specialist Jack Myers. Welcome back to the program, Jack.
Hey, thanks, Avery.
So good to have you here. So, you at Social Security aren't just there to overlook everything going on with people's Social Security stuff. You're also there to help. So, how can I get help from Social Security?
Yeah, absolutely. We are here to help. I mean, that's what we're here for sure, is to help people navigate through our program and apply for our benefits, and just get whatever type of assistance they need from Social Security. And in early April, our local Social Security offices plan to add more in-person appointments, and will once again offer in-person service for people without an appointment. Now, we don't have an exact date in April yet. We haven't set that yet. And as it stands right now, today, we continue to provide help in our offices by appointment only. But this is good news, Avery. We're working towards a chance to get people back into the offices, like I said, without that appointment. But there are a couple things that I want to mention. I want to talk about as we kind of transition to that. As we expand in-person service, we're still going to strongly encourage people to continue to go online at socialsecurity.gov, or to give us a call for help, or to schedule appointments in advance. You know, the best way for people who have access to the internet to get help from Social Security is online at our website. Again, it's socialsecurity.gov, or you can even shorten it to ssa.gov. We have a national toll-free number. That's 800-772-1213. And then our local office in Springfield has our local phone number. It's 877-279-9504. So there are a couple different numbers you can call. Of course, there's the website. And, recently I saw some information on our website about, kind of best times to call, if you will. It said for quicker access to a representative at our national 800 number, which was that 800-772-1213. Try calling early in the day, like between the hours of 8 and 10, or later in the afternoon between the hours of 4 and 7. And then we tend to be less busy later in the week, like Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and later in the month. So, those are just a few tips for when it might be a better time to call our national toll-free number. And then, if we're unable to help you when you call our numbers, then we can schedule you an appointment by phone or an in-person appointment. So, that there is that option to schedule that appointment if we can't help you right there over the phone.
What would be the type of issue that would need a in-person visit? I know you're encouraging online visits a lot of the time, but what kind of issue would constitute a in-person visit?
Well, most of the time you're going to be able to do most things online. There are going to be occasions where that doesn't work for you for some reason or another. But then there are certain things, like I'll give you an example of something that we have to see a person face to face on. If a person is over a certain age and they're requiring, and to be honest with you, I can't remember right off the top of my head if it's 11 or 12, or it's in that range anyway. But when they're over that age and they're requesting an original Social Security number for the first time, meaning, they've never had a Social Security number, then we're going to need to see them in person as part of the process of issuing that Social Security number. Now, if you're applying for a Social Security number for a newborn child, a newborn baby, you do that at the hospital. When you apply for the birth certificate, there's no in-person appointment needed or anything. It's just for when that person is older, because it's pretty atypical for a person to get to the age of 11 or 12 or whatever that number is in this day and age and not have a Social Security number. So, what that is more often than not is, an immigration situation where we have to see your immigration documents and, make sure that you qualify for the Social Security number. And so those do need to be in person, and we would schedule that with you. You'd call the local office, and we'd schedule an appointment for that to be done in person. But for the most part, most other things can be done either online or over the phone. But it doesn't work for everybody to do it that way, and we get that. So the phone, is sometimes preferable to people over the online service, but if you can do things online at socialsecurity.gov, that's going to be the most efficient and preferred way. So I would encourage you to check that out. And if you haven't already done so, set up your My Social Security account on our website now so that you're maybe even a little bit more ready to conduct your business with us online when the time comes.
So March is Women's History Month. Let's take a few minutes to focus on Social Security for women. I would imagine the rules for Social Security benefits are the same for both men and women, but are there any different rules at all?
Well, Avery, the rules for men and women are the same. But, as you mentioned, with March being Women's History Month, I think it's a good time to focus on Social Security from a woman's perspective. And the reason I say that is because I'll often make the argument that Social Security is perhaps even more important to women than it is to men. And let me connect the dots on that. Let me explain why I say that. One of the biggest financial fears that people face in retirement is running out of money. As you look towards retirement and you think about retirement planning, running out of money is obviously what you're trying to avoid when you're planning for retirement. And that's where Social Security is so important, because you don't run out of Social Security. Once you begin collecting Social Security, you are going to receive that. If it's a retirement benefit, you're going to receive that in most cases the rest of your life. So that's a really big deal in terms of potentially running out of money. You don't have to worry about running out of your Social Security benefit. And in addition to that, Social Security is also inflation protected because there's the cost of living adjustment that is possible each year. It's tied to inflation. So you've got that inflation protected source of income that doesn't run out. And why do I say that could be potentially even more important to women than men? Well, it boils down to simple life expectancy. According to life expectancy statistics from April 1st of 2020, at that time, a man who was turning age 65 could expect to live on average until age 84. A woman who turned age 65 could expect to live on average until age 86.5. So you're talking about roughly 2.5 extra years there. So in terms of potentially running out of retirement savings, 2.5 years is a big deal. And so with this being Women's History Month and with that life expectancy issue as it is, I think it's a great time to just take a look at our website, go to ssa.gov. Like I said before, create that My Social Security account if you haven't already done so. Take a look at the estimates of your future Social Security benefits if you're not already receiving benefits. Take a look at information on survivor benefits. See if you might qualify for a survivor benefit if your spouse passes away before you. Those are great topics for women to take a look at on our website, and they're great topics for men to take a look at as well. I just kind of tied it into the Women's History Month and especially wanted to key in on that life expectancy aspect.
That's Social Security Administration Public Affairs Specialist Jack Myers right here on the WTIM Morning Show. More from Jack right after this. Your stream co-sponsored by People's Bank and Trust, where they put people first, and Landmark of Taylorville, where you always do better with Landmark. Welcome back to the WTIM Morning Show. I'm your host, Avery Cooper. Your stream co-sponsored by Landmark of Taylorville, where you always do better with Landmark, and People's Bank and Trust, where they put people first. I'm here on the phone with Social Security Administration Public Affairs Specialist Jack Myers. Great to have you here on the program, Jack.
Well, thanks for having me on, Avery.
And I want to know, right, when I get my Social Security card, for me anyway, I had it given to me when I was 18. My parents hung on to it up until that point. I kind of carried it on me for a little bit, and I'm a little embarrassed to say because I know that's not recommended, right? Why is it not recommended to carry my Social Security card on me?
You're right. It's not recommended. The main reason it's not recommended, Avery, is because it's just too risky. If you carry it in your wallet, and you lose your wallet, then somebody's got your ID, they've got your Social Security card, they've possibly got credit cards or other things. So, it just really sets you up for identity theft issues. So, it's really not a great idea to carry that around with you. There's really no reason to. You shouldn't need that Social Security card on a daily basis. Most of the time, if you know the number, that's all you need. And most, on most days, you're not even going to be asked for that Social Security number. So the best way to keep that card and number safe is to keep it in a safe place and share it only when required. Many places ask you for the number but don't necessarily need it. So keep that in mind when you go to a place and there's a form that they give you to fill out and there's a space for the Social Security number. Don't be afraid to ask them if they really need that, because a lot of times the form just hasn't been updated. They don't necessarily need it anymore. Understand there are places who do, such as employers, financial institutions, others. There are places who do legitimately need that, but it's okay for you to ask and see, what if I don't give it to you, and just be informed and let them know that you're concerned that they're going to take the proper measures to keep that number safe and, make sure that it doesn't fall into the wrong hands.
Yeah. Okay. Now I know. And I'm happy to tell you that I no longer keep my Social Security card on me and my person. It's in a very safe place where I think I only know where it is.
So that's good. Good to
Yeah,
hear.
good. So could you maybe provide a little bit of an example of why it's so important? Or maybe, here, let me back up. I noticed a story on your website that provides an example of, well, the exact opposite of guarding your card. Tell me what the story is.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about. In our history section, we've got a story about this is back from the late 30s, like 1938 era. There was a wallet manufacturer from New York that decided to promote its product by showing how well this wallet would accommodate a Social Security card. So they, created this sample card, and I admit they made it. They took efforts anyway to make it look like it wasn't real. They used a different color ink and stamped the word sample on it. But where they went wrong was the company's vice president, for some reason, decided to use his secretary, and her name was Hilda. He used Hilda's actual Social Security number on this sample card, or specimen, I guess was the word that they stamped on it. So, they print all of these cards and put them in their wallets, and they used Hilda's actual Social Security number. And then these things went out to department stores like Woolworths and other stores throughout the country. And unfortunately, customers who bought those wallets started using that Social Security number as their own. And ultimately, it became the most misused Social Security number ever. There were over 40,000 people who reported Hilda's Social Security number as their own, basically saying, this is my Social Security number. And I mean, it became a big thing, of course. Social Security had to void that number out and, publicize that it was incorrect to use that number. And ultimately Hilda got a new social security number, and and some people might even say that she had a little bit of fame out of it, but she certainly didn't want that or enjoy that. So it's just a kind of I guess, an over the top example of what could go wrong if you carry that social security number around with you. But just a lot of good reasons to guard that card, keep that number safe, and make sure that you don't fall victim to identity theft.
Oh, what a story. 40,000 people.
Yeah.
Same social security card that's also stolen, but
it's a bit extreme, I know, but it happened. And just think, fortunately, it wasn't as bad of a situation back then as it would be today, because it wasn't as tied to credit and that sort of stuff. But think about if something like that happened today, and how much of a nightmare that would have been for Hilda or anybody that occurred to.
40,000 could have been 400,000, 4 million, who knows? Anyway, so we got about a minute left here. Jack, wanted to give you a chance to highlight something that we didn't get to cover, or maybe just reiterate something.
Well, just want to remind people that you can do business with us on the website, ssa.gov. If you haven't already, go ahead, go to the website and set up your own My Social Security account. That way you can get information about your future benefits. And if you're getting benefits, you can conduct business with us. So, it's a great way to learn more about your benefits and do business with us online.
That is Social Security Administration Public Affairs Specialist Jack Myers. Thank you so much for coming on the program, Jack, as always.
Thanks for having me.
The stream co-sponsored by People's Bank and Trust, where they put people first, and Landmark of Taylorville, where you always do better with Landmark. I'm your host, Avery Cooper. Thanks for listening.